Hello Magic the Gathering lovers, my name is Matt from Total MTG, and on today's Deck Tech we're going into the common world of Pauper. So what have I got for you today? Well, if you like playing massive creatures and stomping your opponent, but you like playing them a turn earlier, and if any of you modern players out there just love playing Tron, then I've got a mono Black Tron deck which will just suit you perfectly. So without further ado, let's take a look at the deck. So let's take a look at this mono Black Tron list I've put together, and of course it's based around getting creatures out earlier if you can, with the Urza's Mine, the Urza's Power Plant and the Urza's Tower. Now if you can get these turn 3 down, this is absolutely brilliant for the deck because then you can lead into some absolutely humongous creatures. We've got Expedition Map in there as well. Just like Tron decks do play in Modern, we have a lot of modern great cards in it that just fit straight into Pauper because they can be common status, which is what we obviously need and want. Expedition Match where you can sacrifice it, search your library for a land card, reveal it and put it into your hand. So if we've got the old mine, the power plant tower already in our hand, we potentially could go and get ourselves a swamp or one of our other potential lands as well. But this is mainly used for getting your mine, your power plant, your towers, sometimes more of them as well, because, you know, if people might do a little bit of land destruction, they don't like seeing these little Urza lands on the battlefield because they know what comes from having them on the field. So we're going to get into the creatures now. What have we got that's going to absolutely stomp our opponent? We start off with a 4 of Self-Assembler. This costs 5, it's a 4/4. When it enters the battlefield, you may search your library for an assembler, work a creature card, reveal it, put it into your hand and shuffle your library. So when we get to play one of these, we get to search for another as well. The 4/4 stats are very nice, obviously stays out the way of Lightning Bolt. Really nice, and it gets us go through our deck and potentially find another creature to play down and start that big beat down plan that we've got with these massive creatures. We then got a 2 of, we've got a few 2-ofs here. We've got Cosmic's Pathfinder, costing 6, it's a 5/5. You can pay the colourless and target creature can't block Cosmic's Pathfinder this turn. That is really good. And just actually tapping a couple of our lands if we've got the Tron on there could stop their whole team from blocking the Pathfinder. And being a 5/5, it's not going to take many attacks for us to win the game. The next creature we have as a 2 of is Twisted Abomination, 5/3, costs 5 and a black, but I love this, it has Regenerate. So we pay 1 black, we can attack in, we can block, and as long as we've got the black mana up, we can just keep regenerating this creature. Very, very good. Also has Swamp Cycling as well for 2, so we can discard the card, search your library for a swamp, reveal it, put it into your hand. But this is our recurring creature in our deck. 5/3, nice stats for 6. Obviously a bit easier for us to play if we got the Tron down. It's just going to keep coming back and keep attacking your opponent. So it wouldn't be a black deck in Pauper if we didn't have Gangler. This sees loads of play. Obviously in a lot of Delver decks and a lot of other stuff. It's a big creature, it's a big zombie fish, it's a 5/5 with Delve. So we can play this a little bit earlier. We wouldn't even need the Tron particularly for this because we can delve cards away and get this down for potentially 1 mana. Gangler is a massive, massive beater and can certainly, like the Pathfinder, win you games on its own. So the next 2 of we have is Eldraz Devastator, a massive 8/9 trampler for 8. These big CMCs do not bother us because obviously we're Tron. They will bother us if we haven't got Tron on the field. We might have to play them a little bit slower than we did. But hopefully we've got Tron on the field. That's obviously the aim of the deck. And an 8/9 trampler. Wow. Ulamog's Crusher is there as the final creature as a 2 of as well. Annihilator 2 this. I love the fact that it's got that. And has to attack each turn if able. But being an 8/8, there's not going to be many things that are going to get in its way. No little 1/1 creatures or anything like that. It's got the Annihilator so that whenever this creature attacks defending player has to sack 2 permanents as well. Which obviously includes their lands. They can sack their lands. It's just permanents, not non-land permanents. But the size of our creatures, as we've seen, the 8/8 Crusher, an 8/9 Devastator, the Gangler, the Twisted Abomination and the Pathfinder, our creatures are on there just to do total destruction. And they're going to be very, very hard to deal with because of the size they are. Bolts, anything like that are just not really going to affect our creatures unless they've got multiple in hand and waste them all on our creatures. But they're not, you know, they just wouldn't be, it doesn't make viable for them to do that. They are just literally going to have to make us either sacrifice them or, which obviously can be done with certain cards like Chainers, Edicts and stuff like that. But we've got big creatures, 15 of them. Let's see if our opponent can stop one of them getting through and winning us the game. So we're going to get onto some spells now. I just mentioned Chainer's Edit. We do play black, so we get a lot of great spells to use. And I'm using a couple of different ones here. I'm testing out a couple of cards. They seem to be quite good when I've played in practice on MTGO. We've got Chainer's Edit there as a 3-of. Target player sacrifices a creature, and also has the flashback that is expensive, costing 7. But for us, like I said, being Tron, it isn't that much of a problem for us. We've also got a 3-of Moment of Craving. Target creature gets -2 to end turn and gains you 2 life. When you look at the top decks in Pauper, you've got Burn, you've got Cult of the Boras, Red White Weenie, stuff like that, aggro decks. And I think that adding a card like this for a little bit of life gain, I like it. It kills a lot of the creatures in those decks as well. When you look at Thraben Inspectors, Glint Hawks, all the ones that play in like the Boros deck and stuff like that. You know, a little bit of life gain will definitely help us out, and it's going to kill a lot of creatures as well. We've got card drawing, Read the Bones, scry 2, then draw 2 cards, you lose 2 life. We're going to play this as a 3-of. And then we've got a new card from Ravnica Allegiance, Undercity's Embrace. I thought this might be well on theme with the deck. It's another card that could potentially give us life gain. We are always, if we've got a creature on the field, are always going to have a creature with power 4 or greater, because the smallest one we do is with 4 power, which is the Self-Assembler. So this will potentially gain us 4 life. They might sometimes only sack a token, but 4 life is very essential sometimes. And with the Moment's Craving there, we do have the potential to gain 14 life in this deck in the main board, which I think is pretty sweet, which will help us play in some early aggro decks. We've also then got a 2-of Oblivion Strike, has Devoid, so it's colourless, 3 and a black, exile target creature, so it's not going to come back potentially from exile. This is sorcery speed, but it's still a nice spell. It's expensive, being 4, but like I say, keep saying, we've got the power plant, we've got the mine, we've got the tower, we're not worried about cards being expensive. So the last 2 are the artifacts, and they're the ones that I mentioned, which is Expedition Map. We run that as a 4-of. That will help us search us out to go and get our Tron lands potentially, or maybe a swamp if that's what we need to play some of our spells. And we've also got a 4-of Prophetic Prism that can help you with a little bit of mana fixing. You pay 1, add 1 mana of any colour, so it will tap for that black in case we need it. And when it enters, it draws a card as well, so there's potentially 4 card draws there as well. So you can see this deck's got a nice bit of card draw. We've got Read the Bones. You know, we are mono black. We've got Read the Bones. We've got Prophetic Prism. We've got a bit of life gain in there as well to help us. And we've got massive, huge creatures to win the game. All in all, I think this mono Black Tron deck that I put together is pretty sweet, and I'd love it for you to give it a try. Let's have a quick look at the lands now before we get onto the sideboard. I've already spoke a billion times about the mine, the power plant and the tower. So obviously there are 4 of each in the deck. And then we have 8 swamps in the deck as well. Then we've got 4 other types of land. We've got a Barren Moor that comes intact but can be cycled to draw a card, which is pretty cool as well. We've got a Bajuka Bog that can exile all cards from target players' graveyards. Yeah, we're talking to you, Delver decks. And then we've got a 2 of Haunted Fengraf, which adds 1 to our mana pool, but we can also sacrifice to return a creature at random from your graveyard to your hand. Now, every creature of ours is a big beaten winner, so we do not mind which one comes back to our hand. It's always going to be great for us to do that. So before we get into the sideboard, I'll have a quick surmise of the deck. It's easy, it's simple. You've played Tron in Modern, you know what this is to do. You get your mines, your power plants, your towers, you get your turn 1 expedition map down, you search for those lands, and you get them down as quickly as possible. We want to be casting these massive creatures and just attacking your opponent, getting those wins. It will not take many attacks with these creatures if they get through to win you the game. We've got spells to obviously deal with creatures that might be annoying. With Chainer's Edit, we can make them sacrifice. We got Moment's Craving and Undercity's Embrace to gain us life. And we've got card draw to go through the deck as well. We've also got Oblivion Strike to exile a target creature if there's something a little bit that, you know, a little bit more harder to get rid of. Oblivion Strike will put that into exile. All in all, I like this deck. You can ramp out with the Expedition Max, the Prophetic Prisms will help us get Tron. It's just a very sweet deck. It's different to the Rainbow Tron, which is mainly a mono blue deck. That sort of goes around counter spells. I mean, I love mono blue, so I'm going to love Rainbow Tron. That does flickering and stuff like that. You've got the Mole Drifters. This is a totally different type of deck. This is Tron getting big creatures down, and it's going to be very, very fun for you to play. So let's get to the sideboard now. We've got 4 of Duress in there. Target opponent reveals land. You know what Duress does. You choose a non-creature land. We're going to take away some spells that will be, you know, hurting us. We don't want none of that. We've got a bit more graveyard hate in a single Relic of Progenitors in there. So we've got a Bajuka Bog and a Relic of Progenitors. But if your bet is playing more graveyard themed decks, more Delve or something like that, but maybe put an extra Relic in if you want. But I've got one in there. We've got 3 Doomblade, destroy target non-black creature. And then I've got a 2 of Echo in Decay. Target creature and all other creatures with the same name get -2/2. So it'll be great against those token decks. Bit of life gain and help us out with Crypt Incursion. You get to exile all creature cards from target player's graveyard. We gain 3 life for each of those cards. 3 mana, instant speed, just might be that extra bit of life that you need. And even if they've only got 3 creatures in there, boys and girls, gaining 9 life is very, very sweet. We've then got a 2 of Mephitic Vapours. All creatures get -1/1 to end of turn, and it has Surveil too. This is a nice sweet card. I've seen it in a lot of sideboards. It's a little token sweeper as well. So we do have the Echo and Decay, but then we've got this as well in case we don't want to be overrun. We need to get more to the mid to late game with this deck. So if we have to bring these in and the Echo and Decays, it'll help us potentially against early aggro decks. The last creature in the sideboard is a 1 of Rus Processor. 7/8 for 7, an extra massive big Eldrazi creature for us to play. When you cast it, you may put a card an opponent owns from exile into that player's graveyard. If you do, you gain 5 life. So this is my mono Black Tron Pauper deck. Let me know what you think and any ideas of extra cards you think you want to put in. I've always take your ideas and, try them out in testing and stuff like that. It costs around 6 tickets online, this deck, so it's it's pretty cheap online, and it's $50 in paper, so it's a fair price. And a lot of you, the main part of the money is in the expedition maps and the mine, power plant, and towers. So if any of you that already play Tron, hopefully this deck wouldn't be that dear for you to put together. But if not, still at $50, you're going to get a big, strong deck and great fun to play in Pauper. Anyway, guys and girls, I hope you've enjoyed this video. The next video will be out on Tuesdays. I do 3 videos a week, Tuesday, Thursdays and Sunday. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Please give it a like so you can support the channel. And if you're new to us, hit that subscribe button as well. It really does. I really do appreciate it. You won't know how much. Anyway, guys and girls, I will see you on Tuesday's video.